There are a lot of things that are useless in life. Me playing Valorant, you trying to get a girlfriend, and this review. Because the EC3-CW is just a smaller EC2-CW. Well, wrong. Because the EC3-CW is very similar to its bigger brother, but there's some notable differences in terms of its shape that I would like to point out. So the EC2 is a bigger mouse than the EC3-CW. That is to say, it's going to be more suited to medium hands for palm grips and large hands for claw grips. Large hands being 21cm hands and longer, and medium hands being 18cm to 21cm long hands. On the other hand, the EC3-CW is going to be suited for small hands to do a palm grip, that is to say hands smaller than 18cm long, and medium-sized hands to do a claw grip. If your hands are much bigger, like 21cm and longer, go for the EC2 or go for the EC1 depending on your grip style, because the EC3 is really not built for big hands, even if you're trying to do a fingertip grip. There are gentle grooves on the left of both of these mice. The groove is definitely a little bit deeper on the EC2, and the extra volume on the EC2 and extra size on the EC2 isn't equally spread throughout the mouse. It's not like a scaled up version of the EC3. Most of the extra volume is found in the rear of the mouse. So you kind of have a right side that slopes out a little bit more, that's a bit more puffy, and the rear hump is a little taller and a bit more bloated. If you put the mouse side by side, you actually notice that the front are very similar in terms of width, because most of that added size is towards the back. Both mice though have nice gentle grooves on the top for your fingers to go into the nice click positions. They all have a brilliant Zoy coating on the plastic that makes it so you really don't even need grip tape to have a nice grip on the mouse. There's a good reason why the EC shape has remained the benchmark for ergonomic gaming mice shapes for a long time. They're extremely comfortable, and they still are because they're completely unchanged. I prefer the EC3 shape because I have medium-sized 18.5, 19cm long hands, and as a result, with my claw grip, is a better fit for the EC3. Another difference between the 3 and the 2 is the weight. 2 grams. It's 2 whole grams, which means the EC3-CW is 76 grams. You're not going to notice this difference, truth be told, but I just wanted to point it out. It also is a good segue to the weight of the mouse, which some might consider to be heavy and antiquated and bloated in this day and age. Frankly, 76 grams is definitely a respectable weight for a gaming mouse, especially if you're considering the target audience of the EC3-CW. The Zowie EC3-CW has a very specific target audience, Zowie's target audience, and as a result, it does not keep up with market trends and has Zowie sticking to their guns because they're just focusing on their main niche of customers, and that is Zowie fans, veteran gamers who are used to older style and ethos of mice, and people who care about esports level reliability more than anything else. That actually drives a lot of the decisions made here with the EC3-CW. And while it's not as light as its competitors, it's not like this extra weight over its competitors wasn't put to good use. Its battery life, for one, is excellent, which might be more important to professional gamers or certain groups of users than just having flat out super lightweight mice. It can last a good week and a half on a single charge, and with its charging dock functionality, you would basically never run out of battery with this unless you're super forgetful. The build quality is also really excellent. It's got no holes, zero creak, zero flex, and it feels as sturdy as a rock, which for certain groups of audiences, like people who want absolute reliability and stability in their mice, makes a lot of sense to have. Personally, it's a little heavy for me, but that's fine. Just like the EC2-CW though, the EC3 also doesn't change basically anything in terms of tactile feel to the EC3-C. It uses the same clicks, has the same exact click feel, same exact scroll wheel, and same exact thumb buttons, which means you get the same kind of light click but plenty of squishy post-travel feel on the main clicks. The scroll wheel is the same scroll wheel as the EC3-C, which means noisy and big steps, kind of like a 2008 Office mouse scroll wheel, but it does feel good in certain situations, and if you're used to Zowie's style of scroll wheels and you've gotten good muscle memory bunny hopping with it, it makes no sense for Zowie to change it, as is the same with the thumb buttons, which have zero pre-travel but quite a bit of squishy post-travel. The mouse feet on the bottom are big and nice, and they're really good for consistent tracking. The only problem with them is that they do feel a little bit slow on a lot of my cloth mouse pads, but considering their target audience, considering that a lot of the people who use Zowie tend to be playing games like Counter-Strike and Valorant, it kind of makes sense why it has more of a control-oriented setup, since games like these reward a more control-oriented setup, since what they need is fast, large flicks rather than constant micro adjustments, and it also comes with a spare set of mice feet in the box. So if yours wears out, or if you do go around experimenting with aftermarket skates, you can always switch back to the original. It's always good. Since we're on the topic of tracking, let's talk about the 3370 sensor in here. Zowie's defense for going with a slightly older sensor is that it's a tried and tested model, something that has been through a lot of esports LAN tournaments before and hence isn't going to fail. It's something they can trust. I don't know whether I actually do trust them with this reason for going with a older sensor that doesn't doesn't have motion sync technology that the newer 3395 has, but personally, there are much more important things than getting the latest and greatest sensor. Things like firmware implementation, the chipset, and wireless performance are far more important. And considering the 3370 has won plenty of esports tournaments and been used by plenty of esports pros and is basically a flawless sensor anyway, it's not the biggest concern for me. Though, for its price, I would have liked to see the latest and greatest. Zowie did try to improve performance of their mouse by using their own proprietary enhanced receiver technology. Basically, you get two dongles in the box. One, a normal USB dongle that you've seen 1,000 times before. Another is the enhanced receiver, which is a big chungus dock that allows for charging, which is very convenient by the way. And it has multiple receivers and antenna in there so that you get a more stable, consistent connection with your gaming mouse. They say it also improves latency, but as far as I can tell, nothing really changes. Home use in an isolated environment, frankly, it's not actually going to affect your performance all that much. It's not really going to improve anything. You're not going to notice much of a difference. However, its main advantage is when you use it in, say, a LAN tournament or in an internet cafe, a place that has a lot of wireless interference. Its stronger antenna and receivers should supposedly help mitigate any issues with wireless interference from other wireless systems, which is definitely a nice advantage to have. And where does Zowie have a lot of users and fans and its target intended audience? LAN tournaments and internet cafes. For me, I just like the fact that it's a charging dock. It makes it super convenient to charge my mouse and never ever run out of battery. Not that the battery life is bad. Another big thing about the EC3-CW is that it's plug and play. Unlike Razer or Logitech, you don't ever have to install software to use it well and have proper functionality. You can control everything with the DPI and polling rate buttons on the bottom, and that's it. It's straightforward, which is super advantageous if you're bringing your mouse to different places, say for LAN tournaments or LAN events once again. So then, should you buy the EC3-CW or the EC2-CW, or buy one of Zowie's EC3-CW's competitors? Well, to decide between the EC3 and EC2, it's pretty straightforward. It really boils down to your grip style and your hand size. But what is not straightforward is deciding between the EC3-CW and its competitors, of which there are many. Because of the gaming mouse market being so competitive, there are so many options that the EC3-CW is similar to. Mice like the new Lamzu Thorn, review coming soon. Mice like the upcoming X-Lite V3 Mini, the DeathFeather V3 Pro, the list goes on and on. So what should you get? Should you actually get the Zowie EC3-CW? If you are Zowie's intended audience, as I said, Zowie fans who are used to the Zowie mice or the Zowie EC3 wired, and it's going to be an excellent choice since it's going to be a mouse you don't have to get used to. It's going to feel like home, but it's going to have some significant upgrades by going wireless and cutting a couple of grams over the predecessor EC3 wired. Also, if you're someone who doesn't really care about all the super trendy features and technologies, who really cares more about things like reliability and a mouse that is no frills, no problems ever, no inconveniences or glitches ever, then the Zowie EC3-CW seems to be a good fit, since it uses a lot of reliable tech and places emphasis in points on the mouse which matters more to people who want reliability, things like the enhanced receiver, bigger battery, super solid build quality, and using tried and tested parts. However, with all that said and done, I only have one real criticism about the EC3-CW. That's the price. While it makes a lot of sense for its target audience, its price simply doesn't. At 250 Singapore dollars, it is more expensive than even the G Pro X Superlight V2, which was released last week. I personally think a price reduction of say 30 or 40 Singapore dollars from 250 SGD to 210, 220 will make it a lot more of a viable option and a lot more of a easy decision to make. Because while it makes a lot of sense for its target audience, it might just be priced out of reach for a lot of them, because very few people, especially in this inflationary cost of living crisis economy, will have the money to shell out for admittedly an expensive gaming mouse. Yeah, sure, it's a premium product with premium features and that Zowie refinement that they have a track record for doing, and it does serve its target niche and audience extremely well. My fear is just that there are a lot of people who would gladly choose this over any of its competitors, but are just priced out by 30 or 40 Singapore dollars or 20 to 30 USD. As for me, I'm gonna keep using the EC3. I actually do quite like it for casual gaming. The EC3-CW seems to be the perfect fit for me thanks to its extremely comfortable design and shape. Okay, subscribe.